Many people have realized this at this point, that everybody is getting fired, nobody's getting hired, and people are getting replaced with AI and robotics. Have you guys noticed that?
I got laid off today.
Ooh.
After 10 years.
I told you guys I was let go today after 20 years.
I keep getting job offers that are extremely lowered wages due to them knowing people are desperate.
Ooh.
I got laid off in May. It is now the end of October.
Wow.
Look at all these open tabs. The job hunt right now, you guys. If you got a job, just keep it. Okay?
Amazon recently announced their largest corporate layoff, cutting...
I think that there's a lot of people in these PR, marketing, and fake jobs at these companies, and the companies are starting to realize, hey, wait a minute, we don't need to pay this girl to come here and drink boba tea for 8 hours and then complain that somebody said something that made her mad. And they just fire her. Yeah.
14,000 employees, with executives hoping to eliminate 600,000 workers by 2033.
More than that.
When Amazon, the U.S.'s second largest employer, starts laying off employees, it gives cover to other CEOs.
Of course.
UPS announced 48,000 layoffs.
48,000? You know what's going to be funny? Is that if they can, it'll be 480,000, because soon the UPS will be completely automated with like machines that will take the different like little packages that you get, and they will deliver them to your door themselves.
YouTube is offering its employees voluntary exit packages. Chegg announced it was cutting 45% of its workforce. Target cut roughly
Well, I mean, Chegg, obviously, because people don't have the... I mean, that was a book reselling place, and people don't use books anymore. Nobody knows how to read.
1,800 employees.
It's all digital.
GM cut roughly 1,700 employees.
Of course.
Meta, Rivian, Ford,
Absolutely.
the list goes on. And this is just for the month of October. It doesn't even cover the layoffs we've been experiencing throughout the year. But there's one layoff I want to highlight. Paramount. If you watched my previous video, I mentioned how David Ellison, son of tech billionaire Larry Ellison, had purchased Paramount, further growing his media empire. Despite this open letter David sent to Paramount employees after taking over the company, claiming, "You are the heart of this company."
Well, a person needs a heart, but a company doesn't.
Paramount cut 1,000 employees, with that number expected to be 2,000 in coming weeks.
If companies like Google and Amazon and Meta are making billions, why are they laying people off?
Oh, that's easy.
Because they're not contributing to the product and they're not valuable. It's pretty simple. Yeah.
Greed. These billionaires don't care about us. They only care about showing growth to Wall Street every 3 months.
Yeah, why would they why would they keep somebody on the payroll that they can fire? Of course.
Remember when property developer Tim Gurner said that unemployment needed to rise 40-50% to put us workers back in our place?
That's right. He just said it.
And we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40-50%, in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer.
That's right. We got to put them in their place.
The other way around. There's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them.
We got to shut this down immediately.
The dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to...
Here's what happened. Elon Musk took over Twitter, fired 80% of the staff, and nothing changed to the product. In fact, I think the product got better. Every single other business owner in the world saw that. Everybody saw that. And after that, it's bot crazy now. YouTube is bot crazy too, but YouTube didn't fire 80% of its staff. So is Facebook. Facebook didn't fire 80% of its staff. It's still riddled with bots. Bots are everywhere on the internet. Twitch, not Twitch. Well, there's bots there too. Twitter is not unique.
Unemployment.
What isn't discussed enough is the shadow layoff system. More companies are hiring part-time and contract workers as a means to cut costs. This means for the workers, no retirement plans, no healthcare benefits, and no severance package. The WARN Act doesn't require corporations in every state to report part-time or contract workers as part of their layoffs. This is why the layoff numbers might seem low, but if we account for all employment type, we've actually seen 13.8 million layoffs from January to August of this.
So 13 million people have been laid off in America? Isn't that like probably like 5% of the workforce? That's insane. How many people are in the U.S. workforce? 10%. Oh my God.
Year. Laying off contractors or conducting performance-based exits doesn't make headlines, but accounts for up to 30% of this year's job losses. Amazon claims that they're laying off employees in an effort to operate like the world's largest startup. They claim they need to increase their efficiency. Yet in 2024, they generated $638 billion.
Well, that's not a good way to look at it. I don't agree with this way of looking at it. Do you want to make $640 billion? Or do you want to make $650 billion? Every single person, when it comes to their money, will want the company that they are invested into making $650 billion. The problem is that everybody is always very generous with other people's money. But whenever it comes to their own stocks, their own holdings, and their own ownership, well, suddenly now it's okay to cut costs. The reality is that these decisions are made in order to maximize shareholder value. And they are done in the best interest of those shareholders. A company should not exist for the purpose of providing welfare to the state or to the public. That is not a company's job. A company's job is to function as a problem-solving device, right? It solves some sort of problem, it performs some task, it does something. It's a company's primary function is not to employ people, it's to provide a service.
Seems they're operating at pretty high efficiency. While most headlines are focused on...
but wouldn't you want more efficiency? Yeah, wouldn't you want more? Wouldn't you want it to be better?
AI, Amazon has been building an army of robots.
That's right.
A leaked internal document shows executives hoping they can eliminate 600,000 roles by using robots.
That's right.
And they know
Thank God. Thank God. People that work in Amazon fulfillment centers, that's probably the least fulfilling job that you could ever have. It sucks dick. You probably get injuries. You're overworked. I mean, didn't they have a bunch of people working in one of those factories that were told that they had to stay inside, and then they ended up being killed by a tornado? I mean, these are terrible jobs. Nobody grows up and says, oh, I know what I want to do. I want to take the box from the conveyor belt and put it in the truck. Nobody wants to grow up and be that person. People take these jobs because they have to, not because they want to.
How bad this sounds. That's why also in the document, they discussed replacing words like automation, AI, and robot with the term advanced technology. But here's the dystopian reality. Back in June, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy addressed all the employees about AI and automation. We have strong conviction that AI agents will change how we work. There will be billions of these agents. We will need fewer people.
Billions must lose their job.
Doing some of the jobs that are being done today.
That's right.
The key word here is will. He's not saying AI agents are currently good enough to replace human workers. He's saying they will.
Well, they are to an extent, right? I mean, like to an extent they are. And automation and technology is going to replace workers everywhere. It's going to happen in a lot of different perspectives, not just in one way. It's going to happen overall. You're completely correct, because I work at UPS part-time for health insurance. I unload boxes off trucks. Yeah, of course. Some people enjoy doing easy labor just to not use their brain. I guarantee you, if you gave that person the same amount of money and you told them you don't have to go to work, I bet they'd stop showing up.
Will be maybe in the future.
Probably in 2025, we at Meta, as well as the other companies that are basically working on this, are going to have an AI that can effectively be a sort of mid-level engineer that you have at your company.
That's
that
pretty
can write
good.
Code. And then over time, we'll get to the point where a lot of the code in our apps, and including the AI that we generate, is actually going to be built by AI engineers instead of people engineers.
Again, the key words here. I think probably these are just hopes. They're laying off real human workers today, despite recognizing that AI cannot do a mid-level engineer's job.
Well, exactly. That's why they're not laying off the mid-level engineers, but they are laying off the entry-level engineers. And so, like, right now, AI can't do... Like, basically, they're trying to plot a trajectory for where their business is going to be. But at this current point in time, it is undeniable that AI can do some people's jobs. So right now, it's doing some people's jobs, and later on, it's going to be doing everybody's jobs, or more people's jobs.
They're hoping one day it can. They're redirecting the money they used to pay real human workers into AI investments. They're betting on a future that hasn't even arrived yet. They could afford both employees and AI, but instead they're laying off workers right before the holidays after record profits while the CEOs get richer from the very act of firing them.
Because that's exactly right. Welcome to the fucking show. And if it was your money that you had invested, I guarantee you that the companies that make those decisions would be the most highly invested in companies in the world. Because everybody is always generous with somebody else's money and somebody else's time. But when it comes time to make decisions for your 401k, to make decisions for your investments, you are going to want to maximize your revenue. You are going to want to have a good rate of return.
For these executives, layoffs are a means to cut costs. And who costs the most? Senior employees. A perfect example of this that we saw earlier this year was when Microsoft let go of Ron Buckton. Now, if you're not a developer, you may not know who he is. But Ron spent 18 years at Microsoft. 10 of those years was spent working on TypeScript. TypeScript is used by over 5 million developers. I use TypeScript. The majority of the websites that you interact with use TypeScript. And despite Microsoft having over $245 billion in revenue for 2024, they still let Ron go. Was Ron...
Yep, that's right. They fired because they didn't need him.
Suddenly discovered to be a slacker after 18 years of promotions? Or is it that executives looked at a spreadsheet, saw his senior level salary, and decided that number was too big?
I do think that, like, I mean, to be fair, like, I'm in general in favor of AI and, like, this what I think is kind of like a technological revolution. But I do think that they're overshooting right now. I think they're probably, like, you shouldn't be firing people like that this early. Like, I mean, maybe there's like a unique reason why, but I do think they're probably overshooting and probably firing too many people too quickly. But I think that the inevitability of this is not to be denied.
And at the same time they're laying off senior workers, they're also eliminating junior positions. Between January and October of 2024, the unemployment rate for recent college graduates was 15.3% in their first year after graduation. Wow. This shows recent graduates are staying unemployed for longer and they're applying to roles outside of their degrees just to land.
That way the interest from their student loans can go up. That's good.
First position. And it's not looking any better in other countries.
There are many graduates now that are coming out of universities, which means that there are more people that are graduating necessarily for the jobs that are there. I saw a rather shocking statistic in the UK earlier this week that was talking about the fact that last year there were 1.2 million graduates for 17,000 jobs, which starts to give you the idea of just how...
Then why the fuck do we keep importing people?
...competitive that market has become. And on top of that, with AI, many of those graduate jobs are changing or are more difficult for people to get into.
Yeah, they're raising the barrier to entry to a higher level of intelligence. See, there are some jobs that if you have an IQ of 81, you're not going to be able to do this job. Like, I don't care. Oh, well, what if we train them? No, you're just not going to be able to do the job. You can't train a dog to use a typewriter. You can't train a person to do some jobs. The more that this technology gets better, the higher that threshold will be. And you're going to have dumb people, less creative people, less critically thinking people, lower IQ people be completely removed from the job ecosystem. That's what's happening. It's happening right now.
Vercel used its best salesperson.
Like, you think about it like this, right? There used to be a retard that would sit there with a screwdriver and screw a bolt into a tire and get paid the equivalent of $75 an hour, live in a beautiful house, have every benefit that he wanted, have a family that he supported, 2 cars and a boat, and go on vacations. And that guy probably didn't even have a high school education. All he did was turn a nut on a boat. Nowadays, that's done with a robot. Take his fucking back. Well, I'm telling you, right? Like that's what's going to happen. And so all those people, that's called labor. Yeah, but it's also called a robot does the same thing, and you don't have to pay the fucking guy $75 an hour and then just tell him to get the hell out. Like, what do you mean? Like, and you would make this decision too. Everybody would make this decision when it comes to their own personal finances. That's my point. Everybody would do this themselves. Useless labor? Yeah. What do we do about it? Well, you have to tax companies that are using automation in a way that, you can redistribute the money into the population, right? I mean, that's what you have to do. But like, it's not going to happen. I think we're going to have to bring back somehow like slavery or something like that. Like, I don't know, maybe feudalism. It's one or the other. Maybe both. Or you could have a plague. Maybe all 3.
To train an AI agent, allowing the company to reduce a 10-person team's work down to just 1 person managing the AI agent.
Remember what I said? This is exactly what I've said every single time. It's not replacing all 10 people. It's replacing 9 of them and giving the 1 person who's the best at the job the ability to do the job of all 10 people.
As a developer, I also see this. A lot of companies are now using AI agents to do the smaller Jira tickets that usually a junior developer would do. But this means that they're effectively eliminating junior positions, while at the same time we have fewer senior employees because their salaries make them layoff targets.
Yes.
More seniors and retirees are returning to the workforce because they can't afford the cost of living on their retirement funds or their Social Security.
Yeah, there's a lot of old boomers. Like everybody jokes about how boomers, grew up in the greatest economy ever. But some people, even whenever they have an aimbot, they end up losing a match. So there are boomers that don't have a lot of money saved up. And because of that, they end up being broke and then they have to go back to work.
In fact, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, people aged 50 and older are the fastest growing group of those experiencing homelessness.
Honestly, that's so sad. That's actually so disgraceful. As the richest country in the world, the fact this is the case, this is a complete disgrace.
With that number expected to double by 2030.
I said triple. She said triple, not double.
This is my tent.
Yeah.
There's my kitchen.
Oh my God. She living out there in the woods.
Yes. I am out in the woods.
Yeah.
But here's a little secret.
What's the secret?
I got plenty of privacy.
Because despite paying
Jesus, man.
into Social Security with every paycheck, that money isn't being saved for you. It's being used to pay for current retirees, and it's also not keeping up with the cost of living.
No, it's not even
The
close.
average monthly payment for retirees is $2,002. I'm not currently in the US, but even here in Stockholm, that wouldn't cover my rent. But regardless, the US government is considering increasing the retirement age to 69.
That's right. Yeah, they're going to do it too. They're going to do it.
By many workers claiming that employers are deeming them too experienced, a nice way for these companies to say that they don't want to hire you after 40. And actually, Workday, that horrible job application software, they're being sued with applicants alleging the company's AI disqualified them because they were over 40.
So I made a post about over a month ago talking about how I was laid off at 50, being at the peak of my career, and thousands of you.
It's like, what is this? Like that movie whenever you reach like 100 or like a certain age to just instantly kill you. It's like, all right, happy birthday, you're dead. You're fired.
Saying you're going through the same thing. They say you're too overqualified. Again, you're not going to be happy here. I even had someone make a comment saying that they went to Trader Joe's to try to get a job and they were denied because they are overqualified.
It's 2025 and the new reality is that people in their mid-50s, late 50s are the new unemployables. It's almost impossible to land another job at your current level. You can almost kiss it goodbye. They can say ageism is illegal all they want. They can make believe that it's kumbaya and we love everybody and we're all equal. And no, it doesn't work like that.
If that's the case, how exactly are we supposed to work until we're 70 if these companies stop hiring people around the age of 40? And more graduate...
You're going to be turned into a battery so you can power a robot that washes a rich person's shoes.
Are now switching to trade jobs, meaning that blue-collar workers are now competing against white-collar workers for the same handful of trade jobs. We've seen at least 180,000 government employees let go, and now we see senior FANG employees re-entering the job market after layoffs.
I'm a recent college grad looking for a job, and today I learned that not only are we competing with all of the people last year who couldn't get jobs, we are also competing with people who are currently working in entry-level jobs and looking to switch companies because their companies aren't promoting them because the market is so bad. A recruiter I just got off the phone with told me that I'm going up against someone who has 2 years of postgraduate full-time work experience.
This same thing happened, like if you're around my age, you know this same thing happened whenever we were like all 21 to like 24. Because like back then, that's whenever the recession happened after 2008. And it was almost impossible to get a job back then. Like you were competing against people that had 5 or 10 years of experience. And it was like, okay, well, how am I ever going to get a job when every job has like 4 applicants and you know, you need to have experience to get experience, but you don't have any experience, so you can't get any experience. And you can't get any experience because you don't have any experience. It's like the unemployment catch-22 that keeps people like her and any other young person that's graduating college in this like limbo. And what happens is that now they have their student loan debt that's compounding and building on top of itself. So the amount of money that they had that they're supposed to be offsetting, it's kind of like, I mean, just the way that interest works, right? Is that it becomes worse and worse and worse the bigger it is, right? The bigger it is, the bigger it gets. The smaller it is, the less quickly it becomes larger, right? Like basically, right? Because just the way that the interest works. And so now they're basically having like this, you know, like a 5% bonus being put on top of their entire loan because they can't make any of their money back. Yeah, it's gatekeeping. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wait, doesn't this collapse the consumer market itself? Well, no, because you're going to have rich people that have all the money.
I just don't know how I'm supposed to compete with that.
So let me get this straight. We have retirees, new graduates, blue collar and white collar, government employees, senior FANG employees, all fighting over a dwindling number of jobs. And at the same time that everyone's trying to find a job, inflation is out of control. The cost of living the past 5 years just keeps increasing.
I want to see if anybody else is experiencing this. So last year, my homeowner's insurance for the year was $3,018. Year before that, it was $2,600. Year before that, $2,200. Year before that.
So it went up
at $2,100. I've owned this house for.
So it went up by like. It went up by 50% in 3 years.
4 years. This year, my homeowner's insurance is over $6,000. No claims in the last 4 years. I've never had a claim against the house I'm living in now. But my insurance doubled. Homeowners insurance doubled year over year with no claims.
Yet wages...
This is why people like socialism. This is why people want communism. This is why people want revolutions. This is why people become extremist, is that they have something like that happen to them. They are enjoying an almost comfortable life, and then they have all of the life squeezed out of that and then redistributed to these companies that are basically extorting them for money, robbing them for money. And I think this is also, it's happening all the way down the line. It is. It's happening to everybody.
Keeping up with the cost of living, despite us seeing both Apple and Microsoft hit a $4 trillion valuation. And meanwhile, our representatives are telling us that inflation is only 3%, yet they're not explaining the bigger picture. Inflation may be 3% this year, but what was it last year and the year before? They're not adding on all the prior years, because the reality is inflation rarely decreases. And in fact, it benefits the governments to have inflation.
Well, you have fractional reserve banking. You have inflation. It really, I mean, money. It's always going to just keep going up. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of how much.
It means they owe less debt. It is. And about that inflation, a lot of it is artificially created. Tyson and other corporations conspired to create an artificial pork shortage so that they could increase the prices of pork from 2009 to 2018. When they were caught, they paid just $85 million.
By limiting the supply. So there's a $20 billion market, and they had to pay $85 million to settle the lawsuit.
That's nothing compared to the $20 billion pork industry. In earnings calls, the CEO has bragged about passing on inflation to consumers. Keep in mind, the same CEO that was caught creating artificial inflation.
Like many other companies, we were faced with a range of...
His name is Donnie King. Donnie, all right.
Higher levels of inflation. Our teams have worked together with our customers to pass along that inflation through price increases.
We will remain disciplined and agile in our pricing initiatives to ensure that any additional inflationary pressures are passed along to customers.
We'd like to think that we have relationships with customers that allow us to be able to take to them inflation that we see in the marketplace and be able to pass that on ultimately to the consumer.
This is
so they just said, if we're going to eat shit, you're going to eat shit. That's it.
Genuinely terrifies me as unemployment keeps rising and millions of us are fighting over fewer jobs, all while the economy is horrible. We're handing unprecedented power to these corporations.
Well, here's what's happening is that as robotics, technology, AI, automation, and other forms of technology in general, as it advances, what it's going to do is it's going to create it's going to erode the inside of the, let's look at like in terms of it, like three different like sections of people, right? The bottom 10%, the middle 80%, and the top 10%. The top 10% will have an unprecedented in history amount of wealth consolidation that would make the COVID recession recovery look like a joke. It's going to make the 1930s look like a joke. It's going to make ancient Rome look like a joke. That's happening right now. It's happening. It's not going to happen. It's happening at this very moment. Okay. That's the top 10%. The 80% of people will then be basically reallocated into the lifestyle that the bottom 10% of people currently live in. And you are going to have a larger separation of people that are very wealthy, that have the means of production, that have the resources, that have the control. And that control will multiply in value and power. And the people without it will also divide in power and value. So they will have less and less and less. And like literally just like fractions of it, right? And they eat the rich. Well, that will never work. You'll never overcome them. The reason why is they'll just pay half of you to kill the other half. That's it. It'll never happen. It's never going to happen. They'll just, that's it. And there's nothing you can do. Sad reality. Yeah, I'm just being honest, right? It will never happen.
They know it. Companies are already using dynamic wage setting, using algorithms and AI to decide what we should be paid. It's algorithm exploitation. Yeah. Uber pioneered this. Their AI was able to identify which drivers would accept a $3 ride because they're behind on their bills. DoorDash
Gotta squeeze them. Gotta get all that money out of them.
Also uses it. CareRev uses it for healthcare workers.
I have been struggling to pay all my bills on time. When I first moved into this apartment 5 years ago, that wasn't an issue at all. Yep. I feel ashamed sometimes as a man or as a person that I can't come up with the bills. It's frustrating. I Uber every day.
Exactly. It's bad. Yeah. Happened in France. They literally killed all the rich. Big fat reset. Really. So whenever the wealth and merchant class decided to kill the royalty class, the poor people thought they won. Uh-huh. No, that's definitely not an example of what I just said. Oh, no. Uh-huh.
Right now, it's Wednesday. I drove around from 7 till 11 and made $20.
$20.
What is stopping Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, or any other company from using this same type of wage setting? Mm-hmm. They already know our salary. They monitor everything we do on our work computer and
It's illegal. That's why they don't do it. If they could do it, they would do it.
Phone. Because the reality is Amazon laid off 14,000 workers, yet they're still hiring for engineering, sales, and management. Microsoft laid off...
No, I don't think that they're actually hiring. There's like requirements that businesses have that they have to put a listing for a job publicly, even if they're going to hire internally. And I think that's the reason why you're probably seeing a lot of these different jobs being placed, is that they have to do it for some degree of like, compliance. But in a lot of the cases, these jobs aren't real. They're ghost jobs. Yeah, exactly. Like, you're never going to get hired for this business development senior manager job. It doesn't exist. Fred from accounting is getting fired, or sorry, he's getting hired into this. He's known this for 2 years now, and you're sitting there writing out your why I want to be in the job in Microsoft. I've always had Windows, and nobody's even going to read it. An AI is going to read. Nope.
Over 15,000 this year. They're hiring. Intel laid off roughly 22,000 this year, yet they're still hiring.
Because they have to put those listings, but they're not actually hiring.
These corporations lay off people only to hire new employees at a lower salary with less equity and a worse benefits package. If they're already trying to replace us with AI, is it really that big of a stretch to think that they wouldn't lower our salaries by roughly 30% because their AI determined that
they are lowering your salary. They lower your salary every year that they don't give you a wage that accounts for the cost of living. That's the problem. So even a very high wage, like $20, is actually not sufficient to live in a number of urban areas in the United States now. So the fact is that you are getting your wage lowered every single year because they're not accounting for that. Also, investors, see how many listings there are? Yeah.
Willing to accept that salary in this economy. They increasingly give us worse salaries, while Andy Jassy, CEO of Amazon, made $40 million in 2024. His compensation is directly tied to Amazon's stock price. Right. The day Amazon announced 14,000 layoffs.
There it is. I better buy some fucking Amazon stock. Look at that. Holy shit.
Amazon stock jumped 13%. The day UPS announced 48,000 layoffs, their stock price jumped almost 13% as well.
Which is why it's happening. It's because everybody knows this is the correct decision for a company to take, even though it's not the human-friendly decision. It is the correct decision, financially.
Wall Street literally rewards human suffering. And
well, yeah, of course. There's a lot of money you can make off of people being sick.
Some of you may own.
I went into the fucking the oncology place. I felt like I was walking into the Hilton fucking hotel with my dad. He got pancreatic cancer, and I walk in there. I say, "Oh, there ain't no way they're curing this shit." Yeah, bro. Like, you got these, these nice wooden walls, like everything, like these mahogany tables, these chairs. Like, yeah, bro, this is not. Yeah, they're not curing cancer. It's not going to happen.
Amazon stock, because actually stock ownership in the US is at a record high. 62% of Americans own stock. But when we dig deeper, we see that the top 10% own 93% of all stocks. They want us to believe that this is about
that's cute. The top 10% own 93% of all stocks. Yeah.
They want us to believe that this is about the future and innovation when they're...
Well, it is for them. Their future, their innovation, not yours. Not yours, slave. Go back to your battery station and power my robot that massages my feet. No, I don't want you to do it. The robot has to do it.
Literally just giving us a solution to a problem that they created. They're laying off real human workers today, investing that money into their dream of AI replacing all of us in the future.
Man. She is right about everything, and it doesn't matter. The reason why people are so stupid, they can't even understand this problem. They have no idea. They can't comprehend it. Critical thinking is at an all-time low. People are more uneducated than ever. Nobody knows how to think. Everybody is going to be turned into a battery. And that's just the way it's going to be. I know some people might not want to hear that, but that's where we're at. That's it. Link the video. I'll link the video. Yeah, let me go ahead and link the video. Okay, yeah, Idiocracy is in... Grok, is this true? Somebody says eating paint's bad for... Grok, what... Does red paint taste like apples and green paint taste like green apples? No? What does it taste... Oh, I could just check for myself. Oh, it tastes like cancer. Now you're a battery. The irony is that more people are unemployed, the less demand for these companies' products. Well, the thing is that that's why you need to have the wealth redistributed into the economy. Exactly. And also, apparently that's not true. A lot of people aren't realizing that a tremendous amount of consumerism comes from a very top echelon of consumers. So you have people that are spending ridiculous amounts of money that are like, basically, it's like, you're voting once, they're voting 1,000 times. That's it. First comment. Imagine what happens when you have a large part of your population unemployed with nothing to lose. Start a new war. Yeah, start a new war. Will never happen because of government benefits. I think that you will see I don't know. I don't even want to say it. I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say it.